Hey, Bear Scammon here at the Eugene Science Center, and I'm here to show you guys a really cool exhibit that we have here in our exhibit hall. And this is our infrared camera. And you can see that it's got everything showing back at us, but in these interesting colors. We see a range of sort of yellows to blues to blacks and reds and purples. And if you look down here, we actually have a little guide here saying that the dark blues and the purples are going to be cold, and we're going to be moving through the colors with red starting to be warm, orange being kind of hot, and yellow and white being extra hot. Now, the interesting thing about our thermal imaging camera is that it does not actually tell you exactly how hot something is. It just tells you how hot something is compared to everything else that the camera can see. So at this point in time, we can see some exhibits in the back that are nice and cold, and kind of the hottest things that we see here is me and Christina's face. Christina's doing the camera work in the back right there, and we can kind of see some things in between, like our clothes are kind of lukewarm. But we can change the scale, we can change the temperature scale of the camera based on what it can see. So if it sees more things that are really hot compared to everything else will be much colder. So if I walk closer to the camera, you'll notice that everything else in the room starts to change a little bit of color. Now we can do an even more extreme experiment with that by exposing some ice to it. So I've got some just normal water ice over here. I'm going to take out a couple cubes, and you can see if I hide them from the camera inside of my glove, everything's normal. But if I open my hand and expose, you'll see that those ice cubes are just pitch black, but everything else is now a light shade of pink where it used to be blue. So if I just hide these ice cubes again, it'll turn back to normal, where the background, the rest of our exhibit hall, is that nice shade of blue. But if I expose these really cold ice cubes, they turn back to this lovely pink. Now, ice is pretty cold. Ice is at 32 degrees Fahrenheit right now when it's just starting to melt. But we've got something here that's a lot colder. And you may have seen it in our previous video. It's our dry ice. And to make sure that I am being safe, I'm going to be putting on my goggles over my eyes. I'm going to be putting on my second glove here. And dry ice compared to regular ice is about 140 degrees colder. So when we expose the dry ice to our thermal camera, it's going to have a very similar effect. So if I reveal it, 1, 2, 3, but this time, instead of everything being a bright shade of pink, everything is bright red. Everything else seems to be almost on fire compared to how cold this dry ice is. In fact, the dry ice is so cold, it makes normal ice look like it's room temperature. So I'm going to take a piece of ice and hold it next to our dry ice. And you'll see that it's that lovely shade of pink. That's a shade of purple right there. And compared to our scale, this is the coldest thing in the room. And this is supposed to be somewhere in the middle. Really, really cool stuff.